What's up, everybody? If you have followed my channel for a while, then at some point you have heard me share my thoughts on Funko NFTs. Overall, I'm not a big fan of them. I try to be open-minded about things, but they're just not for me personally. I decided that I want to do a standalone video about them, though, because this is a constant conversation within the Funko collecting community, and I didn't want to just share my own opinions about NFTs. So I did put out the question on my channel here and also on my Instagram account, just giving people the opportunity to share their personal thoughts about NFTs. And I will share a lot of those comments within this video. Obviously, I could not share everybody's comments, but I will address some of them along the way, and also, of course, share more of my own personal opinions. You see this comment here from Collect Them All. It says, if I need a picture, I will take a picture for free. Give me the figure, not the picture of it. When I first heard the concept of NFTs, it sounded a little bit silly to me. And I've always had this attitude that if you're being hustled, basically, if there's not an exchange taking place at the same time. What I mean by that is, if you give your money for something, you should get something in return right away. Even when you make an online purchase, at least you get your payment confirmation. Something is on the way to you. But with the NFT, yeah, you are basically getting, this digital image, which supposedly, could have value to it. But we've seen how that's been going with NFTs. A lot of issues, a lot of scams along with that. The difference with Funko, though, of course, is because there is that chance at getting a redeemable pop, and that's what really has captured people's attention with them. And along with that, I saw a lot of comments pointing out that NFTs, they just feel like gambling with Funko. And I do agree. That is really what it feels like here. So you see a couple of comments here. The first one here says, against them, just let us buy what we want, not gamble. The next one here, no thanks, I'll pass. I don't like the gambling concept. Jacob here says, against them all the way. I should be able to buy a Funko Pop I want for a reasonable price without having to gamble for a chance at getting it for a high price. So again, you all there, like I said, a lot of people view it as gambling. You'll see that with some of the other comments here along the way. And yeah, that's absolutely what it feels like to me. That does concern me personally because, it is an addiction. It can be an addiction for people. Now, John McKenna here, he says, I've started to pick them up based on the subject. I agree they are like gambling. I've given myself a limit for spending on them, which is 2 big packs and 1 small pack. I think this is the best way to handle it. I think some people, though, will struggle with that to stick to this. But if you have that discipline, then of course you can kind of rein it in and not spend too much on the NFTs. But that's just, you got to know yourself, basically, whether or not you run that risk of basically spending too much. Can you really limit yourself? So again, that comes down to an individual. Next up here from BK Phipps, she says, you can either gamble on them, and there's that word gambling again. You can either gamble on them by buying the NFT packs and hope you get a redeemable, or just wait and go on Atomic Hub, buy someone's redeemable NFT card that they are flipping, watch for the lowest price and get it before the deadline to redeem it. I love collecting NFT Funko Pops because you don't have to worry about a redrop. I needed funds a while back and I was able to sell my NFT Funko Pops real quickly and get a lot of money. Now, I've said this about Funko over the years. I don't think you really should get into Funko Pop collecting just for the investment aspect of it. But if you are going to collect, then yeah, you may run into some times where you have financial hardships and you can sell some of your Funko Pops to help yourself out. I've done that before in the past. There's been time when I let go of Pops, just to make sure that I could get my essentials, the things that I really need. So I think that is something that is good about Funko. And of course, when you have some of this NFT Pops, they are higher price on the second market, so it can help you out in a crunch. But like I said, I really don't feel like you should get into Funko Pop collecting specifically as an investment. It should just be something that is, a bonus that comes along with it. Next up here from Nightmare Dawning, she says, I never cared for NFTs. I just don't like how it's harder to get them all. And it's basically all random too. It really sucks, especially if you want a certain character, because you could buy it over and over again and never get the one you actually want. I just find them pointless. Plus it sucks how they usually come out with some awesome and wicked designs and characters for NFTs. Now, I would not go to the extent of calling NFTs pointless personally, because obviously there are some people that are into them and that do enjoy them. So I feel like if anybody out there is into something, then to me personally, I wouldn't call it pointless. Maybe it's not for me, but it could be for others. And obviously with NFTs, it is for others. But I do understand what Nightmare Dawning is saying here about the design sometimes, because when you look at these Beetlejuice ones, This is what surprised me, and this is something that really inspired me to go ahead and do this video. I feel like if you are really into Beetlejuice, then obviously you would like these versions of Barbara and Adam. You know, these are images that really come to your mind when you think about that first movie. I think you would really want these. You notice here that they are glow in the dark, so I doubt there's a chance of Funko doing these non-glow, you know, and making them easier to get. I just don't see that happening. But yeah, I think as a big Beetlejuice fan, you would really want these. I do like Beetlejuice. I have some Beetlejuice in my collection, and not just Funko products. I can do without these, but like I said, if you're really deep into Beetlejuice, but you're not into NFTs, then yeah, I can see this kind of stinging. Also notice here, the Magician's Assistant that's a character we've not had before. And again, I think Beetlejuice fans would really like that particular pop, but you know, it's an NFT, and like I said, so that's not forcing people. Now, Freddy Funko as Beetlejuice, I can understand that being tough to get and that being a rare figure, completely understand that. But for the other ones here, like I said, you know, if you're really into Beetlejuice, then yeah, it doesn't feel so great to see these pops as NFTs. Next up here from Ortiz Pop Hunter, he says, I was originally against them when they dropped, but starting with Transformers Series 1, I started to grow an appreciation for it. The idea isn't for everyone, as a lot of it involves gambling. See, that word keeps coming up on the packs to get these pops, but most of these pops are really limited and rare, which helps with the value. I will say that that is a wave by wave, even figure by figure basis on whether or not the figures are actually going to be valuable, because there have been some NFTs that just did not do well, you know, including on the second market. Some just really did not do well. So it is a case by case basis. With the Teen Titans Go ones, they did not seem to be hugely popular. I think you can get a lot of those for actually low value on the second market. Some were gifted to me, and I do like some of them, especially the Slade one, Slade Wilson. I really like that one. But yeah, again, it is on a case-by-case basis of whether or not they actually do hold some great value with them. Next up here from Two Flowers, she says, I love the low count on each pop. The only downside for me is that Funko should change the limited quantity once they have been redeemed. Example, if it is a pop with a limit of 1,000 and only 750 were redeemed, then when pops are shipped, it should have the correct piece number, 750 and not 1,000, since they burned the 250 that were not redeemed. I've seen people talking about this recently, and I do agree. It's not accurate, basically. You know, the stickers don't mean much if they say, you know, 1,000 pops and it's not actually 1,000 that are out there in the wild or, you know, within collections. So it would be nice if Funko could do something about that to make them more accurate. Absolutely agree with that. Two Flowers also pointed out here that she would like to be Franny complete, and that's going to be tough for anybody that is attempting to do that. I have the first two Frannies that were produced, and I'm not really going to stress it beyond that because I can see already it's going to be pretty challenging. If you notice here in the latest Funkoween set, there are two Frannies, including the one that is in the 2-pack with Freddy Funko. And then the Funimation set here, there are two Frannies. They have the Celestial Franny and then also the Kitsune Mask Franny. So it's going to be more and more challenging to try to be Franny complete, especially with the NFT redeemable pops. Then we also have this DC Batman set here where you have the villains there locked up basically in Arkham. And then again, there's a Franny here, you know, Franny as Poison Ivy. So if you're trying to be a completionist, you know, with Franny, then I don't think anybody's trying to be a completionist with Freddy. That would be really insane to try to go for that. But even with Franny, it's going to be pretty challenging because of the NFT redeemable pops. It's going to be very expensive as well. So just bear that in mind if you are trying to be a completionist with that particular character. Some people have asked me what I think about this particular set here. I do like the DC villains. Obviously, I'm a big fan of those. I've said that many times, but I don't feel like I have to have any of these figures here. If I was going to try to add one to my collection, I really actually like the Riddler. I know that he may not stand out as much as some of the other characters, but I'm a big fan of the Batman movie. So that's the one that I would like in my collection, but I'm not going to stress it. I'm not really going to go for second market high prices with these, but I do think they are cool overall. Jerry's Got Pops said, as a concept, I like low pieces being handed out via a mystery roll idea. On that front, I think is cool. $10, you get a roll and might pull a mystery low piece count item that's fun and cool. I just wish there weren't so many hoops to jump through. I don't want to move money to a stupid crypto wallet every time I want to buy and trade them. If they could get them off the NFT platform and just host them on some other platform where you could buy and collect and sell and trade with just a simple swipe of the credit card, then I'd buy probably every drop. I'm not going to read the full comment here, but yeah, I completely understand what Jerry is saying here. For me, the whole process is just way too complex. It feels a little uncomfortable. It feels even invasive in some ways. So much information you have to give up. And yeah, I just like the idea of simply give my money, get what I want. That's what I really prefer. And I understand with NFTs, there's some trading and everything involved, but yeah, I'm just not a fan of the process. It just feels uncomfortable to me personally. Next up here, Sauce Tune says, against them, too confusing, too much of a learning curve, also seems like gambling, and I do not gamble. Again, people talking about the process being difficult here. And then the next comment here, Kane Dorella, I think is how that name is said. Forgive me if I mispronounced that. But it says, as someone who has some, I only collect the ones I truly want in my collection. The packs physicals are a pain to purchase aftermarket, but Funko has made it a little more easier to purchase for the initial drops. So yeah, I do think they have streamlined the process some, but for me, it's still kind of complex, and I could see it being confusing for people and even off-putting for some people. Next up here, Pop Fiend says, I love them. I don't buy the packs. I wait and just get the ones I really want. That might be the best move for some people, just to wait and see what it's like on the second market. And of course, there may be some that are just out of your price range. But again, you might actually save money in the long run by just getting the ones that you can afford on the second market. Next, Rex here says, like some of the figures, but hate all NFTs in general. Plus, the figures are sold at an awfully high price by resellers. Again, I think that is on a case-by-case basis. Not all of them are insane prices on the second market. You have to look, and don't just assume that one is going to be pricey on the second market. Do kind of look and check the prices and give it some time as well, because of course prices do fluctuate. Then we have Sea Lord Brian here saying, supported them from the beginning. I just look at it as a different way to collect and support the company. Biggest issue I see is that Funko hasn't shown anyone how to buy, sell, trade NFTs. It's been all content creators or people being self-taught. If they just covered it, they might actually bring in new collectors. And this is something I definitely wanted to address. Funko really needs to do better about things like this. They need people that are, reaching out to the community and putting up videos and things that are basically telling people how to collect, how to handle things on the website. They just need to be more user friendly, basically. And I feel like Funko made more effort with that in the past. They used to have more people that actually reached out to the community and did content on a regular basis. I just don't see that as much as I used to with them. It could definitely be more user friendly. A good example of Funko not being user-friendly is the Pop Yourself Harry Potter feature on Funko.com. A lot of people were confused by this, but basically you do have to create a pop of yourself without the Harry Potter items, and then the Harry Potter items are like an add-on pack that you add to your cart, like right at the end of that process. So you have to completely create a pop of yourself without any of the Harry Potter items, and then go for the add-on pack, and you switch those items out once you actually get your order. Again, that was not completely clear to some people. It was very confusing. It confused me. I saw people in the comments confused about that. It just could have been a lot smoother the way that they worked that out. So Funko definitely needs to improve in terms of being user friendly and especially helping out new collectors as well. Night Train here says, I like them because of the low piece count. Don't have to worry about Funko making them again. And this is true. They will not make that exact same pop again, but of course they could do the character again. A good example of that, Darkseid pointed this out, that with the Power Rangers, there was that Ranger Slayer figure as an NFT redeemable figure. And then right after that, Funko revealed the PX Previews exclusive Ranger Slayer, which in my opinion actually looks better than the NFT one. So remember, Funko does have that right to do the character again, and it might actually be a more interesting pop. That is something to consider with these NFT redeemables. Next up here, Jason Barker says, as much as I love the look of them and do own Batman NFTs, I do not like that I have to buy them second market because people who don't even collect Funko buy all the packs and sell the redeemed NFTs. I think we have to be careful about using words like all, because I don't think it is all of people that are not collectors, buying these up. Obviously, some people that really do collect Funko do have collections, with NFT redeemable figures. I mean, I have some in my collection, and I don't buy them directly, but it's been through trade, second market, people gifting them to me. That's how I end up with them. But yeah, I don't think it's all being bought up by flippers necessarily. And flippers, that's just something we have to deal with as collectors. And it's not just with Funko. I think with any hobby, basically, even you think about like sneakers. I mean, obviously a lot of flipping going on there, and with other collectibles as well. So it just comes along with the territory. Basically, I don't think it's all about flippers, buying up all of the NFTs, and you can go for the packs. You just may not have luck with them. That's just what it comes down to. PsychoTechDC here says, I wouldn't hate them if they were just variations of characters that already exist. Like when the Crooked Man was only an NFT, it sucked. Now he has one widely available. And I do agree. At first with the NFTs, I thought that's what Funko might be going for, just to focus on variations of characters. But then they started doing characters that do not have other pops. And of course, people got very frustrated with that. In the case of the Crooked Man, I really like this character, so I really wanted the NFT pop. Luckily, you know, it was not like huge prices on the second market. I even had somebody reach out to me to sell me one at a very reasonable price, which I very much appreciated. I ended up getting one for a friend as well on the second market. And then I was very excited when they did the supersized one. I added that to my collection as well because I just really like that character. But again, that's not always the case. There are some characters that you can only get as NFT redeemables, and that's just the way that Funko has decided to handle that. Next up here from Wonderlands Shenanigans, it says NFTs bum me out. Seems like they've intentionally given the NFTs better designs. I do want to say I don't completely agree with that. Yes, there have been some amazing NFT designs. You know, I do agree with that part of it. You know, there are some really interesting NFT redeemable pops, but at the same time, there are some common pops that are really impressive as well. I think that Kaido Dragon is hugely impressive, and there's been like some store exclusives and some con exclusives that have been impressive, and like I said, commons as well. It's a good mix. You know, there are many amazing designs from Funko. Now, it may not always be, you know, your genre necessarily, you know, a property that you're into, but I still think you have to give credit to Funko that there are some amazing designs across the board. You know, some characters they get right, some not so much, but I don't think it's all the best designs with the NFT redeemables. Next up here, Cody says, without NFTs, we would never make, Funko would never make some of the characters they've made the last few years as they're just too niche and wouldn't sell. Now, there have been some obscure characters that have been made as NFT redeemables, and I do see that, I do recognize that, and that's kind of a double-edged sword because, yes, you know, it gives people that are into NFTs the chance to grab those characters, but again, for people not into them, it doesn't feel so great when you see that obscure character that you're really interested in, and it's not always about the niche characters because, of course, with the Harry Potter ones, a lot of Harry Potter fans were very frustrated when they saw this wave of redeemable figures, you know, because some of them just don't want to do the NFT thing. They don't want to pay crazy prices on the second market. So definitely frustrating for them in that instance. So yeah, it's not all about the niche characters with the NFT redeemables. Sometimes there are very popular characters and very interesting variants of characters as well. Next up here from Daniel Beck, he says, darn shame NFTs exist. I heard about the Cartoon Network Funko Pops of these, and as awesome as they look, it'd be better if they weren't sold under the NFT brand. Same goes for the Rarity and Luna ones. So again, you know, people are frustrated. Some people are frustrated that certain characters and certain variants of characters are going to NFTs. Now, what Daniel says here, at the end of the comment, it says, NFTs are the epitome of corporate greed. I can't completely agree with that. You know, I can understand some people viewing it as greed, but at the end of the day, we're talking about collectible figures, you know, plastic figures. So I wouldn't say this is the epitome of corporate greed. The epitome of corporate greed to me is when people price gouge on things that people actually need, like groceries and gas and clothing. That to me is the epitome of corporate greed. Again, we're talking about collectible figures here. So I think people sometimes have to kind of take that step back and realize that we're not talking life or death here. You know, this is just entertainment at the end of the day. This is about, you know, excess income that we're spending basically. So I wouldn't take it to that level to say that this is the epitome of corporate greed. Even within the video game space, I've seen things that are way more egregious. So yeah, that's just the way I feel about it personally. I do understand that it frustrates some people, but at the end of the day, like I said, these are just collectible figures. Next here from Raider1 in FN, it says, I think it's unfair that they put some characters that I would love exclusively as NFTs. Not all of us have access to crypto wallets, and they're resold on the market for unreasonable prices, mainly at prices out low income collectors. It's not a fair practice. At least make it more accessible to acquire packs. Now, this, I have to say, the way that I look at this, I feel like Funko does have different price points, you know, with different products, different levels of entry, basically. and they can't just cover everybody across the board. You know, I understand that some people don't have a lot to spend on collectibles, but it's not really on the company to look out for every single person. And again, there are some different options. You know, even with Funko Pops in general, sometimes if you wait, you can find things pretty low prices on the second market. So yeah, that's just the way I view it. You know, with NFTs, it is sort of more of a, you know, exclusive type thing. You know, it's going to be more of a higher level of entry. That's just the way that it is. I think you have to kind of accept that at times. You know, there's been times when I get priced out on things and I just realize it can't be available to everybody. Not everything is going to be available to everyone. That's just the reality of collecting in general. Now, you know, sometimes I look at certain NFT redeemables like this Funkoween set here. When I saw these, I was like, man, I would love to have all of those. And then I quickly stepped back and was like, you know, no, I'm not going to go for that. That would be hugely expensive. And then in the long run, you know, there probably would be some buyer's remorse. So you got to kind of know where you are, what you can spend as a collector, what is reasonable for you to get, and just realize there are some things you're not going to be able to get. You know, same thing for me personally goes with this Dark Knight set. Now, the Scarecrow, that's one that I might actually be willing to shell out the money for, because I really do view that as a personal grail. I really like that version of the Scarecrow. But with the Bane and Harvey Dent, they're just out of my price range. I just can't do it. You know, I mean, I would be able to buy them, but then there would be so much regret of why I spent so much money on them. So for me personally, I just can't do that. I do like the Freddie Funko as Commissioner Gordon as well. But again, that's another one where I just don't feel like it's worth the 75 or whatever it is going for on the second market right now. I just can't do that personally. But again, it's not really on Funko to try to make sure everything is available for everyone. You know, they do have some different price points with their products, so you just kind of got to know what you can afford as a collector. And then we have here JKKLAwesome saying, I'm not for or against them. It's a different way to collect and you're not forced to do it. Of course, when they make an exclusive NFT pop that fits your collection, it sucks if you don't have easy access to it, but that's not part of collecting in general sometimes. So this kind of reiterates what I just said here. You know, it's just not going to be everything for everybody. And this is what I always say about collectors as well. You know, always realize that, you know, sometimes people want really exclusive figures, but they're not going to be easy to get then. You know, if they were easy to get, then they wouldn't be valuable in the long run. So you got to realize that you just can't have everything. That's just the reality of collecting. And where I land with NFTs, again, they're not for me personally, but I'm not going to say that they shouldn't exist because some people are into them. Then PopFunToPlay here says, never got into them, kind of ruined Pops for me in general. It took a fun, cheap toy and made it a $50 to $100 entry cost to get them. For that price, I can get much nicer collectibles that are just as limited, just not as popular. And this is something else I come back to as well. Even though I mainly collect Funko Pops, I've never just limited myself to Funko. There are some other amazing collectibles out there. I feel like some people heavily criticize Funko, but at the same time, you're not forced to collect Funko Pops. You know, you can get into other things, and I think there are some amazing things out there that people really should check out. In fact, I want to start sharing more things, you know, other things that I collect on the channel as I add them to my collection. I will try to do that in the future, but yeah, don't limit yourself to Funko, because I think that would just be frustrating in the long run. And I think just because Funko has one practice that you're not into, you shouldn't let that completely ruin Funko for you. If you are into Pops, you know, just understand that the company's not going to be flawless. They're going to do things sometimes that you don't agree with. That's just the way it is. That comes along with the territory, basically. And again, like I said earlier, you know, when it comes to the NFT redeemable Pops, not all of them end up being high value. A lot of them do, but not all of them end up being high value. So just keep your eyes on the second market, and you never know, sometime you might come across something at a reasonable price that you can add into your collection. And in the long run, you know, it's not urgent as well. Don't have that FOMO feeling, you know, that fear of missing out. I think that causes people to spend a lot of money up front as well. Be patient. Give it time. You know, over time, the prices will come down. And if you're not so concerned about popularity, you know, a lot of people keep claiming Funko is dying, Funko is dying. If the market ever came down, if you are still in the Pops, then you'll be able to get some of the things that you really wanted, you know, if that ever were to happen. Personally, I don't see that happening anytime soon, but you know, you never know. Down the line, maybe the figures will drop in value, and then you can add some things to your collection that you have been interested in. You don't have to get things right away all the time. Again, just try to avoid that fear of missing out. All right, you all, I do want to thank everybody that did take the time to comment. Obviously, I could not share all of the comments. This is already a long video and it would have been much longer if I attempted to do that. But I do really appreciate everybody that took that time to comment. If you haven't done so already, please make sure that you drop a like on this video. Of course, I look forward to more feedback on this particular video. And if you like this style of video, I will try to do these from time to time. You can throw some topics out at me that I might be able to cover in the future. Also, if you've not done so already, please subscribe, to check out more upcoming content. Thank you all for taking the time to check this out, and I will talk to you all again real soon.